No role plays, no conference calls, no BS. Chris and Lorenzo share 4 decades of combined experience to help you become a more effective leader. This is Hacking Your Leadership.
Welcome to Hacking Your Leadership. I'm Chris.
And I'm Lorenzo.
And welcome to this week's Thoughtful Thursday. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube at Hacking Your Leadership and leave us a review on iTunes. On this Thoughtful Thursday, I want to talk about an article I saw in Forbes Leadership. This is by Ben Laker, and it's called Leading with Gratitude, the Power of Reciprocal Appreciation. And I started reading this, and I want to read the first paragraph here, or one of the first paragraphs, because it's what made me think about this topic, because I think it's really important. He says, one of the hallmarks of effective leadership is the ability to engender trust among team members. When leaders give praise, recognition, and support, they aren't just making a team member feel good in the moment. They're laying a foundation of trust. The act of giving signals to the recipient that the giver values the relationship. And I love that, because I think back to, growing up, if I got a report card that was all A's, my mother would want to throw a party and my father would say, nice job, and then move on. And he always, it was the impression that I think he always thought that if he gave too much praise, that I would become complacent and that I would stop trying hard. And I think I had to be many years into adulthood before I could look back at that and say, well, it would have been the opposite. Because I think if I had gotten the praise, I would have wanted to strive harder to do that more, to be able to get more of that praise. And I think even in this culture of where employees and individual contributors are reporting more and more on surveys, that one of the things they're looking for is repeated and constant praise and recognition. I think when leaders see that, they think, oh, you got to do something first before you get the praise and the recognition, right? Like that's the natural inclination, is to think that. It's like, do you want praise and recognition, or do you want to earn praise and recognition? And those are different, but I think a lot of people actually want to earn it, and they want to believe they're earning it. What are your thoughts about this?
It's interesting, because I think that there's elements of it where I think of my own thoughts. I'm like, well, I want to do the work for self-gratification of knowing that I accomplished something, right?
Sure.
And while I can appreciate the praise, for me, it's not about the praise.
Right.
But what I've learned over time is that it is about the praise to a degree, because the praise is what allows you kind of the permission from those around you, whether it's a direct leader, a company, an organization. Like, these things matter because they give you validation and a platform to then rise others up. And so the praise really is important. And while I don't do it for the praise, I definitely appreciate the praise, right? And so I think with our teams and with our people, like, I think where we've gone beyond is like the praise has to be more personal. That's really what I believe. Like, I think people do appreciate a certificate. People appreciate a meeting, a nice job in the meeting. But I think over time that has to evolve to say, not only do I want to praise you for the job well done on this thing, here's the specific things about the work that you do and how you do the work that I really, really appreciate. So it's not just the outcome that I want to praise, it's actually how you accomplish the outcome that I appreciate.
Right. I think too, and I'll be vague here intentionally because I don't want to call anybody out. I see pictures on LinkedIn all the time where you see like multi-unit managers and leaders posing with pictures with their teams and like plaques or certificates that say, best in the country for this month, or, best in this particular metric. And it, in my mind, and this is pure projection, I would never like pose for a picture like that if a leader asked me to do that, because I don't want recognition based on something that is in my mind made up. Like if you make up a goal and then I accomplish that goal, and that goal was arbitrary to begin with and can change from month to month, you're just basically saying you made it so I could go to my boss and say, yay, I did my job this month. That's not real praise and recognition to me. Real praise and recognition is on something that I brought to the table in my actions or my skills or my abilities. And it's validating for that. It's like, you said that, you don't do it for the recognition and praise, but it's important. The old saying, the icing on the cake, right? Well, the praise is the icing on the cake. And I really mean that, because people talk about how the cake is more important, and it is, but who wants to eat cake without icing? Like, what's the point? Like, would you ever eat a cake without any icing on it? No one's ever been asked to, because it's gross, right? You need both. So you're not doing it for that, but without it, it makes it a lot more hollow and not, definitely not as enjoyable. So I think about these examples where it's like, what type of recognition is this? Is this you did something for a company, or did you bring something to the table that only you could do, a skill? And so I'm thinking about a culture of praise and recognition. So this isn't just a one-off. If you want to build this in your own organization or your own teams, how do you build this culture? And so the question I want to ask you is, what are the steps leaders should be doing if they're trying to work in spirit of a culture of it? Not just, how do I give praise or recognition to this one person? How, as a leader, do I build this into a culture of my team? So I want to ask you that, but first I want to give it up to word from one of our sponsors. All right, Lorenzo, have you ever had to build a recognition type culture into a team? And what are some of the steps that you've had to take to do that?
I think one of the things that I've realized over time, and there's a lot of ways to do recognition and praise, and there's a lot of creative ways to do it. And I think like the easy kind of bigger answers are like align people with the things they enjoy to do and make sure that they're recognized for doing them. But I think for me, one of the things that is a big gap is when we tend to even hire people and bring new people in, and the minute that they start working, we stop reminding them why we selected them. And here, I'll give you an example. It's like you go through a resume, you go through an interview process, you get selected to work somewhere. One of the things that I think cultures that have great praise and recognition could do or should be doing is reminding people why they're here. Say, Chris, one of the reasons why we hired you here, not just because of your resume and your experience, but because when we talk to you about how you do the work, here's kind of what you walked us through. And that type of behavior, that type of leadership, that type of skill is exactly what we're looking for. And we look forward to seeing that here. And when it comes to, the work that we do, how are you thinking about doing that? And how can we make sure that we create space for you to have that success here as well? And then even going so far as to finding ways to recognize people outside of the outcome. So I think sometimes if you're looking to build a culture of praise and performance, why can't 10 minutes of a meeting be about recognizing directly people in the meeting for the work that they're currently doing and how you appreciate the way that they've been doing it? We don't even have the result yet. We don't even have the outcome yet, but you're spending time recognizing the way they're approaching it, the how it's coming together and things like that, so that people can understand is not only do I appreciate the outcome or the expectation of what we're looking to do here, but more importantly, I'm dialed in and watching and understanding how you're going about doing that kind of work. And that is really important to me as well. And I want to thank you for that. And I think those are the things that when you're building a culture of praise and we're making it more personal and we're having greater conversations about what we appreciate in our teams, those things can be really helpful in building that. I would also say that I actually like some of the posts on LinkedIn about with the teams and all of that. So please, complaints for Chris at hackingyourleadership.com.
Yep.
It's a real email address. We get them all the time. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I like that you brought it up because I also have this projection of I wonder if that's authentic. I wonder, are those people in the picture feeling appreciated and that
proud?
My
do they feel
boss
proud?
is here and proud of the work, right? But I also think when done the right way, if it's something that you do, if you're that leader who does this from store to store, market to market, district to district, and you're including the not just the result, but even if you just tell them, maybe that doesn't go in the post, but maybe you just tell the people why you're so appreciative of the work that they've done, then I'm all for it. But I'm with you. Maybe there's a negative hinge of previous posts that I've seen where I'm just I don't know. But it is a platform. It is a way of praising. But I think you and I agree, and I think a lot of people would the praise in person, the praise that is personal to me and the work that I've done for a lot of people in a culture of praise, I think that usually far and outweighs any of the public praising of things that happen.
Yeah, I think maybe it's their smiles. Sometimes in those pictures, the people who are getting the recognition, they don't seem to be smiling, or at least they're it's a posing smile, the way that a 3-year-old would pose for a smile when they don't know really how to how to move the right muscles in their face, and they're just kind of smiling. They're showing their teeth. I think that a lot of it just seems like an inauthentic smile, and maybe that's where it comes from. I love your example about the first instance about reminding somebody why they were hired. I'm reminded of one of my favorite books of all time, The Art of Possibility by Ben Zander, and around the concept of earning the A. The idea that you give somebody the A. He gave his students an A at the beginning of the semester, as a college professor, and asked them to write a paper about why they earned that A. And he found that more of them did exactly what they wrote down as why they earned it than if he didn't have that, have the students do that. This is the exact same thing. When you remind somebody why they were hired, you are making it more likely that they will try to earn that job that they were hired for and the reasons why, the things that they brought to the table every single day. And it's important to know that, as opposed to approaching it from the standpoint of, okay, that was what you did for me yesterday, was provide that resume. Now what will you do for me tomorrow? That's what's more important. It's like, no, like it's also important what they brought and what they did. So yeah, I love that example.
Absolutely. And with that, it brings us to the end of this episode. This is Hacking Your Leadership. I'm Lorenzo.
And I'm Chris.
And have a great day.